friends, welcome back. Now let's look at the various types of inter-process communications possible. Mainly there are two types of inter-process communications. One is called the message passing. Since the two processes cannot directly communicate with each other because they cannot share anything in common, they are isolated, but each process can communicate with the kernel. Therefore, if process A wants to tell something to process B, then what we can do is process A can send a message to kernel stating that this message please forward it to process B. So process A forwards the message to kernel, the kernel in turn will pass the message to process B. So this way, through kernel, the message is being passed from process A to process B. So this is what we call message passing. But every time involving kernel is not that efficient in some cases. Therefore, we make sure that the kernel is not always involved for every pair of process want to communicate. Then what we can do is we can create a shared memory. Especially we create a memory and say that this has got a privilege such that both process A as well as process B can use this. Yes, there is separate memory allocated for process A, there is separate memory process B is allocated, but there is some memory which is allocated to both A and B in common. Now this common memory process A can use as well process B also can use it. Now in this case, if process A wants to tell something to process B, then process A will write onto the shared memory and then process B will read it from the shared memory. In this way, the kernel is not disturbed every time. So process A, process B, if they have their own common memory, then they can just use this common shared memory and share this memory for communicating. So that is the shared memory communication. Now let's see in detail what each one is. So let's begin with what is message passing. Message passing is a mechanism by which processes communicate and synchronize with each other by sending and receiving messages. So they do send messages and receive the messages, and by this the processes communicate among each other and even they can synchronize. So when to use this? When the process do not share the memory. So message passing is used when we don't want to share the memory. We want to keep the two processes isolated, and we do use this special mechanism called message passing. Yes, of course it is going to disturb the kernel each time one process wants to send a message to another process. It has to go via kernel. Yes, of course kernel will be disturbed and kernel will be busy for assisting this message passing and all that. Then if we are creating the system in a modular way and still want to have proper secure communication, then we can go for message passing. Then if we are working across different systems, like different systems each having their own operating system, then we want to communicate between the process one working in one system, another process working in some other system, then we can't think of having a common memory, shared memory and all that. Then only one option is send message via the network. So use the network and send message from one end to other end. So one process from one system is sending some message to another process in another system, so that way we can work on. So that's how it all looks like. Process A sends message to the kernel, kernel in turn sends to process B. Here the kernel is always open for communication between every process. So each process is free to communicate with the kernel. Therefore, it is quite simple to make the kernel as an intermediate point so that the pair of processes can communicate across each other. Then there are two types of message passing. One we call synchronous message passing, wherein the sender sends the message and waits till the receiver gets the message. So it is tightly coupled communication. So in the synchronous message passing, what happens is sender waits until the receiver gets the message. So sender sends the message, the receiver should get it and then acknowledge that yes, I have got the message. Till then the sender will be waiting, and that's a tightly coupled communication. And in this case both sender and receiver must be ready at the same time. It's not that sender sends sometime, receiver receives some other time. It's something like making a phone call. Both ends, both the parties must be available at the same time. Only one party who is calling is available and the other party doesn't pick it up, then the call is not complete. So the process is incomplete, message is not passed from one end to other end. It's like a phone call, so both parties should be available at the same time, and the sender will know that the receiver has received it and all that. On the other side, there is another type of message passing which we call asynchronous message passing, wherein sender just sends the message and continues execution without waiting for knowing whether the receiver has received it or not. It's a problem of the receiver. Just sender just sends the message and continues its own work. The message sent by the sender goes to the receiving end and then waits in the queue or the message queue or the mailbox till the receiver picks it up. So between sender and the receiver there is a message queue or a mailbox where this message is dumped on, and the message will remain on this queue or the mailbox till the receiver receives it. It's similar to our email or WhatsApp messaging. We send our message, whether the other end is ready to receive it or not, it doesn't make any sense to us. Doesn't matter whether the other end is ready to receive or not, but what matters is when we want to send a message, we just send it. On the other end, it just will be waiting for the receiver to read it. Till it is read, it will remain in some place like a message queue or the mailbox, and when the receiver is ready to receive it, he'll just open the mail or open the message and reads it. So pictorially we can say the process A wants to communicate with process B. If it is a synchronous processing, then the process A calls for process B, sends a message to process B, and the process B will be working on that message, and then it will send back a response that he had received the message, until process A gets the response from process B. Process A cannot continue its work, so it just waits for the response from process B. So here the process A was working, and once it wanted to call process B, then process B will continue working, and then process A gets back the response. Once process A gets the response back from B, then process A starts its work to continue. Whereas in asynchronous processing, the process A just sends message to process B. On the way, somewhere it is dumped on the message queue or the mailbox. So process A doesn't bother about what has happened. So for a short period of time, it just forwards the message, and after that immediately the process A continues to do its work. And process B may be busy with doing something else, and then when it notices that it has received the message, then it will respond back to process A that it has received the message or something. Like we get a green tick on the WhatsApp message which indicates that we have our message is read by the receiver. So that's about the message passing. Message passing is mainly when for security reasons we don't want to have any common memory. In that case, we know that any process can interact with the kernel, therefore we make use of the kernel, so message is passed from one end to other end via kernel, and that is the logic of message passing. It's of two types, synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous message passing is something like making a call, both ends should be ready, and asynchronous is like sending a message, SMS or WhatsApp message or email. It just goes and sits in their mailbox, and whenever the receiver is ready to receive it, just opens it and acknowledges. So that's about the message passing. Thank you.